There you go. All right, we're
Now,
on.
now I can talk. Oh,
Yeah, every
two.
time you say 5 seconds, and then we started the random conversation.
It allows for a good smooth intro. Today,
I don't know about smooth.
I was like 5 seconds, and he goes, "Stop talking."
Well,
My bad.
you said 5 seconds. Oh, by the way, my back started hurting.
My back is lit up today. I don't know why. I feel. Oh, I gotta go to the gym. I gotta train today too because I'm not gonna train Saturday.
Yeah,
Ugh,
I didn't work out yesterday. I felt really weird.
it felt really weird.
Well, I feel
I
weird
mean,
because I didn't work out.
you're one of those people who likes to move every
Hmm.
day,
Yeah, except
which,
Sunday.
um, I mean, I get that. I do like to move. I take more rest days now than I used to, not necessarily by choice, but um,
Part of the job, baby.
yeah. I mean, I it's kind of one of those things like practice what you preach. Like I was the worst about that even when I first started coaching because I was training more. I was like, you guys should not do anything on Sunday. And then it'd be like, Tristan, what did you do today? I'd be like, oh, I did a
2 hour
100,
workout.
180, 60, 40, 20 calorie row, calorie ski, calorie bike. Like, what?
That was my warm up.
Yeah, bro. Don't. Dude, we should do we should bring back hot and ready warm-ups.
I like
You
it.
did I tell you about hot and ready warm-ups?
I know, but I like the name already.
Hot and ready warm-ups were an evolution of weakness warm-ups, which
Hmm.
was something Misfit used to do. I don't know if they still do it, but they did it way back in 2016 when I was doing Misfit. And it's the weakness warm-ups was like 2K row, 150 cal bike, 1 mile run, like whatever, right? It was just like, hey, or 100 burpees over the bar. It was like, hey, and I liked the application of why they did it. So then in 2019, I came up with hot and ready warm-ups, which is basically the same kind of thing, but I would usually do them on the minute. So it would be like hot and ready warm-up, 10 thrusters on the minute at 115 for 10 minutes. Yeah.
You've already warmed up for that, right?
No, that was my warm-up. I would do like a little mobility and then I would do like empty bar thrusters and then I'd put on 95 or just 115 and I'd be like, all right, cool, let's do it. Hot and ready warm-up.
Okay, but my point is, you're not recommending that as your first movement.
No, it's no. Let me be
Okay.
very clear.
Yeah, let's not hurt people
let
here.
me be let me be very clear. A hot and ready warm up is not a warm up. It's a small workout.
I'm like, I don't know if I can be supportive of
No,
this.
no, and not many of them were very good ideas. Like I used to do the thruster one all the time. I would do
Muscle ups.
no, I never did muscle ups. I would usually it was usually a squatting movement because I needed to get better at squatting.
Hmm.
So it would be like every minute on the minute 6 dumbbell hang squat cleans with 50s for 10 minutes. Or like I would do burpees a lot too because those are easy to get into. It'd be like every minute on the minute, 12 to 15 lateral burpees over the bar.
All right,
Yeah.
if you're an ascended athlete already, get ready for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we do weakness warm ups a little bit and stuff like that depending on the time of year, but yeah, hot and ready warm ups, those were a thing. Oh, another good one. Uh 800-meter sled drag.
Funny enough, I was just talking yesterday about wanting to do a 400-meter sled push.
Ooh.
Hmm. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Not really a warm up.
Not a warm up. That's just
No,
something I want to
but
build up to.
anyways, now that I completely derailed the conversation
100%.
within the
Thank you.
first 4 minutes of the podcast,
Thank you.
Q&A episode today, we asked on the Ascend social media asked, and then we asked on our own personal stories and stuff like that for some questions on Tuesday.
The past 2 days.
Yeah, the past 2 days, I guess. So we've got some questions from y'all, and we're just going to kind of rattle through these one at a time. So Mahmood has some questions. I have some questions. And the way we're going to do this is, well, let's take turns. And he's going to ask his question to me and then give his thoughts. And then I'll do the same. I'll kind of ask my question to him and then give my thoughts on that question. But before we start this, I'm going to turn this fan off because I'm freezing. So 1 moment, please.
Hold, please. Intermission. Did you turn the light by mistake?
I did.
He lives there, I promise.
I live here. I mean, look, it's a 50-50 chance. Okay, whatever.
Fair enough.
All right.
All right. I called dibs.
All right, you call dibs.
All right. My first question. We're not saying names, are we?
No, these are anonymous. I'm not going to put people on blast.
I would love to put him on blast, but my first question is, what's your favorite sandwich? So I'm gonna ask you that.
My favorite sandwich. Is this like type of sandwich or sandwich from a particular place?
No type of sandwich.
Ooh. Probably a club sandwich. A good club sandwich.
Like deli meat?
Yeah, so it's like turkey, lettuce, usually the bread is like toasted, sometimes
Cheese.
it's not, cheese, tomatoes,
Okay.
bacon sometimes. It varies a lot from restaurant to restaurant or place, but that kind of general sandwich.
Did not see that coming.
What'd you think I was gonna say? Like a meatball?
No, I mean, I thought something more meaty.
Yeah, I like a
Yeah.
good club sandwich.
My one is a breakfast sandwich, something with eggs.
Breakfast sandwiches are very good.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I
my
mean,
go-to.
not to be the very simple person in the room, but a good PB&J is hard to beat.
Well, that is true. And my first experience with that was on a bike event. It was the Bike Around the Bay event. It was
Okay.
180 miles, and they started the first rest station. Just let's get past that. I stopped and they had peanut butter jelly. I was like, I mean, they keep talking about it, and I ate one. I was like, oh my god,
This is
Just-
delicious.
I was like, I don't want to bike anymore. It's just gonna sit here. It's free, so you just keep
I'm just gonna
eating.
eat these.
Yep.
I looked at you like that because you have done some of the most obscure fitness things.
Well, do you know how I got in CrossFit?
No.
I did a 300-mile bike ride, and then I was like, I lost 8 kilos back home, and I was like, I don't want to put that weight again on. And my friend was doing CrossFit at the time, so I just jumped in.
Nice.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So, yes, sir. All right, your turn.
All right. I'm trying to see if I have anything slightly. Yes, this is an easy one. Will there be a chance to get a photo with everyone at TFX?
Define everyone.
We're gonna try.
Define everyone.
We're gonna try. Yes.
I will be there. I'd love to take a picture with you,
Yes.
whoever you are.
We're definitely gonna try to get a mass Ascend athlete group photo at TFX because there's gonna be like 35 people there, give or
Yeah.
take. Probably closer to 40 when you count the coaches and stuff like that. So, yes, we will definitely be trying to get a big group picture because we're stoked that we're going to be representing out at TFX. All right, you're up.
All right. That was my only easy question.
All right, that's cool.
I guess the next one would be, well, I'm gonna rephrase the question because it was weirdly asked. So, basically, how to maintain fitness when you're traveling a lot during the week, if your job demands traveling.
This is a good question. I would say the first thing is do what you can when you can with how you feel. Like something is always better than nothing, but don't have expectations. Don't have like this expectation you're going and crush your percentage work or like do whatever. Just go do something that you can do given where you're at, the hotel, if there's a gym, if there's not a gym, if you can get to a gym, whatever. And keep that as the easiest metric for like I went and I exercised or I did some fitness. If I had 10 minutes, half an hour, whatever. And then also balance that out with if you have 7 connecting flights and your flight gets delayed or you're stuck in a hotel for 7 days and whatever, not burning yourself out.
Yeah, I agree, and I also will kind of expand a little bit on that. Like, it depends on what kind of travel, right? If you're traveling to the same place every single week and you know what days you're coming off, what days you're coming back, then you can establish a little bit of a routine and like start incorporating that into your workout routine. So
Right.
it gets a little easier there. That being said, when you're traveling, there's still some factors that are out of your control, as in where you live or where you're staying, how far is it from the gym, how hard was the trip, the probably the working FC. Usually people are traveling for work at that case, so the working hours and if you're in control of them or if you just have to stay there until you're done. So at this point, yeah, I would say have a plan based on your time,
Mhm.
and if you don't get to finish it, then this is when you prioritize pieces and maintain the fitness, right? And I like that the question was how to maintain and not how to get fitter, because that's typically what happens. If you're going on a vacation, I highly recommend that you don't have a plan and just stay active.
Mhm.
Like, for God's sake, take a break.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard, especially for people in the CrossFit space, to remember like you're not going to lose your fitness in a couple days.
Yes.
Like, if anything,
Even a
you
week.
might feel better because you're actually going to finally get to a true place of baseline recovery.
Right. And like, especially if that is a not just you by yourself. If you're with family, if you're on your honeymoon, if you're it's okay to not work out. Like, if you're really bent on working out, get up early and go for a run.
Yeah, 100%.
That's it. That's enough.
Well, I also think it's hard for people mentally to just like accept and understand. It's like, okay, I'm going to take 5 days off of working out.
Hmm.
I know when I come back, I'm going to feel out of breath, especially when I first come back to a CrossFit, like, AMRAP intensity style workout. Okay, get over it, do the AMRAP, and know in 7 days, you're probably going to feel about normal again.
Hmm.
Just, just get over it. It's
Yep.
fine. Let it go. On the flip side of that, if you take 4 days off, you're probably going to crush some strength work.
Hmm. Your
So
joints are gonna feel okay. Your energy levels are gonna be back.
yeah,
So
it's just like understand like how you feel in the immediate is not the permanent, and just let it go.
yeah.
All right, that's a good question. My next one, I'm jumping around from kind of section to section here.
Let's have you do two in a row since you have a lot more questions.
All right, first one. How do you know when or who needs to focus on strength or conditioning? So it's more, how do you know when to focus on that? I think is the first part of that question, like in the season or in the year, and then who, like, what kind of athlete might need to work on
Right. So
that?
that is kind of a know your weaknesses athlete, and it depends on what your goal is. Right? If you're a competitive athlete, as in I want to make it to next level competition, quarterfinals, semifinals, whatever it is, then at this point, unfortunately, you're going to have to look at your results in competition and see where you lack.
Yep.
So if you don't know if you lack on strength events or you lack on conditioning events, then look at the last few opens and see how you did when the weights were heavy, how you did when the weights were not heavy.
Yeah.
Which one is a bigger, and it doesn't matter how you feel, right? Like it doesn't matter. Oh, I think I'm strong. I know that. I believe you. I think you're strong too.
Yeah.
But in relevance to the field, you're not.
Yeah. You might be very strong for your body weight, or
I'm not anything to brag about, but that's kind of my situation. I have a decent strength for my body weight,
yeah,
but I'm very light. So in
yeah,
CrossFit, that doesn't matter, right? So I need to work on my strength. However, if I am, let's say I'm decent at strength, I'm not great, but I'm not weak, or I'm not like last on the strength events, but I cannot row for anything, or I cannot do burpees, then that's where I need to focus on conditioning.
Mhm.
When conditioning is a lot faster to gain compared to strength. So if you are not a strength athlete and you require to gain strength, it will always be in your baseline training. It will always be a priority. However, the main focus or the big surge of focusing on it could be viewed as like, okay, and we're just focusing on strength, or it could be viewed as we're gonna focus on conditioning even less.
Mhm.
Either
We're
or,
we're biasing towards strength.
right? That will be more in the off season.
Mhm.
As you go in season, you're still not giving up that strength portion because, again, in relevance, you need to focus more on strength compared to conditioning.
Yep.
As in, when it comes to conditioning focus, when do I need to be? I guess the best way to look at it is when should I be in my best shape conditioning wise is in season. So starting of the open towards quarterfinals, or if your competitions have no relevance to that season, whatever season it is when you need to be at your fittest, best shape conditioning wise.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's a really good answer to that. I would say it there's a lot that can be teased out there for individual variation. Um, like I have a couple athletes off the top of my head that are very different, but one athlete, their biggest uh, you know, weakness is their strength. As we end this next cycle with Ascend, typically most athletes are going to change gears and start building their conditioning volume. But for that athlete, I would be remiss if I did that. So we're probably going to stay a little more biased to strength for longer, especially if their conditioning continues to improve, right? And then I have another athlete who we've already pulled their weightlifting back a ton because they're already kind of strong enough in most things, and they are very, very slow to adapt to aerobic VO2 max adaptation and conditioning. And we have to start prioritizing that. We started prioritizing that like a month ago
Mhm.
to give more time to build that adaptation leading into the season, because that's what that athlete needs the most, right?
Mhm.
So it's a good question. There's a lot that can go into it. I would say the one thing that I would leave with on that question is when you look back at your performance, truly, truly face the music. Like, don't look back and I'll use myself as an example. 16.2, the total bar double under squat clean workout. That workout came out and I was 2019 or whatever, and I did it. And
2016.
2016 I had a bum knee. It came out again.
Oh, right, 2020 or 2019. It was
Yeah.
2020
The
open.
first, yeah. And I didn't get through the 225 bar. I told myself I'm just not in shape enough to get through the 225 bar. No. I didn't have the strength relative to my size and body proportions and how taxing that load was to move it quickly enough. I was very, very fit then, but I was not strong enough relative to my 1RM clean to move that percentage of my max fast when I'm tired because it was so taxing on my body.
Mhm.
I lied to myself and said I needed to get fitter at that moderate to heavy barbell weight for me, when in reality, I needed to get way stronger.
Yeah.
So be honest with yourself. All right, question number 2. Do you have a set number of athletes that each coach has, or has that not been a problem yet?
So we're here talking about the one-on-one athletes for Ascend, and it's a very interesting question. We have very different coaches in Ascend athlete, and we have mostly, I'm gonna say, full-time coaches in general. That's what they
Mhm.
do for a living. But some of the coaches are more in person, more involved in person in wherever they are coaching, and and have more time to adopt more athletes. And I'm
Mhm.
gonna use adopt because it feels right here. And some other fitness wise. And
Yeah.
some other coaches have more virtual time, more time to spend on virtual training with other athletes. So we don't have a set number that is applied to all the coaches. Before when we have a coach join on board, we ask what is a number that you feel comfortable dealing with?
Mhm.
What is a number that you can give your best quality to without compromising? And
Yep.
based on that number, we set their limit. And we keep assigning athletes to our coaches or referring athletes to our coaches until they meet their limit. And then as long as they have the limit full, we will not assign more athletes to this coach until anything changes or we just hire new coaches.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to put it. The only thing I would add to that is I would say on average, our coaches keep a lower client load than a lot of other businesses, and that is because of the way we emphasize communication and quality of product. Not saying other companies don't do that, but when you caveat that with the fact that most of our coaches, own and operate a gym or are coaching at a gym a lot, things like that, we are very, very focused on the quality of the coaching that they give their remote athletes as well, rather than a ton of athletes that are not getting the best coaching that they can get and be provided.
Yeah.
All right, you're up.
All right. This is gonna be. Whew,
Oh boy.
two questions that are deep. I'm just wondering which one should I start with. Uh, I'm gonna start with a coaches related question.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna tweak it a little bit. Basically, the question was asking, are good coaches, good CrossFit coaches, hard to find? And basically, what would be criteria that you look for in good coaches to hire, whether it's in person or in remote?
All right. New podcast starts now. I think it is easier to find a good CrossFit coach if you are talking about a in-person at the box coach who's coaching somebody on the general CrossFit principles, health and wellness, GPP, make them move a little bit better, maybe clean up their diet a little bit, things like that. I think that used to be hard to find, but I think the ecosystem and marketplace has improved a lot over the last probably 3 years. And there is a much higher baseline standard of coaching in affiliates. I think personally, I could be totally wrong. I have not been to 1,000 affiliates. I don't know. But at least in our general area, I think it has gotten better. There is still drastic differences between the level of coaching at gyms. If we're talking about knowledge base, cueing ability, program design, all of those things. So that's where I would start with that. For a competitive athlete, I think there are a relatively small handful of very good coaches or coaching organizations. And then I think the online marketplace currently is continuing to be saturated with people who are fit or relatively fit and think that their programming will work for everyone, or people who were not successful in their own athletic endeavors but do not actually know how to coach, program design, the principles of training, how to get people better at CrossFit, and are trying to pivot to do that. And I don't mean that in a rude way to anybody out there, but
No, it's just plain fact.
it's the way I see it.
It's not directed to anybody. It's just
No.
facts.
I am kind of one of the people of the opinion, and I don't shy away from this, that if you want to coach people to be competitive CrossFitters, you need to be really fucking smart, because there is a lot of nuance in this stuff. And sometimes it is simple, but a lot of the times it's not. And I think it requires a lot of knowledge and understanding of not only like training principles, but also physiology. And I think it requires a lot of trial and error because there is a big, big, big gap between knowledge and application.
Right. And like part of it is also like instinct. Like,
Mhm.
okay, which direction you want to go here,
Yeah. And how do you, manage those different things
and how
for
do you
an athlete?
explain that to your athlete?
Yeah. Oh, that was the next thing I was gonna say is communication.
Yeah.
I think probably on the remote coaching side, the biggest thing that is lacking is a high level of communication with remote athletes,
Hmm.
which is a lot and it is difficult. I have athletes in very different time zones than I am in, and it requires constant like making sure that there's communication, setting up times to chat, times to call, making sure we're texting, all of those things. Um, but if and also reinforcing that they're putting in their notes and like letting me know and sending videos and things like that. And if they weren't doing that, then I would not be able to, if we weren't making sure that we're doing those things, it would be a lot harder for me to provide them with quality coaching.
True.
So it's hard, but it's not impossible
Hmm.
to find good coaching. But I do think the CrossFit space or online CrossFit training is kind of entering that phase that like the traditional fitness community has been in for a long time, where it's like, oh, this person's really good at CrossFit and they sell a program. I'm going to do their program and
Hmm.
get really good at CrossFit. And for some people, that will work. For most people, it will not. That is the truth. So fucking sorry. Um, and you're not really getting coaching if you're just buying a program.
Yeah.
Right. Did I miss anything in there? I think that
Mhm.
answers the question.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say do your due diligence, set up a call, talk to the person that you're interested in getting coached from. Um, think about it, look back at programs they've put out, athletes they've coached, talk to athletes they've coached, anything like that you can try to do to learn more about that person before you invest monetarily in them, to make sure that you're going to be getting a quality product and quality coaching
Yeah.
before you kind of go down that route.
Agreed.
Word. Best tips / advice for an indie athlete going team in the open / this season.
Communication. Communication, set your expectations early on. I have seen that so many times where people don't set expectations and they just secretly expect each person to bring on their best and commit to that 100%. So, where teams fall apart is one, not in training. Fitness is there.
Sure.
The fitness is usually there. If you decide to go team, fitness is usually there. It's how much you show each other that you're committed. What are you expecting from each other time wise?
Mm-hmm.
And how you communicate with each other through the season, but more importantly, during competition season. So when quarterfinals hit, how are you talking to each other? Okay, are you talking to each other on a daily basis? Are you setting expectations that you're going to meet at a certain time? Are you not meeting those times? Um, if you're there, are you completely there? Are you working while you're there? So you're half present, half not present. So from the get-go, hey, I'm gonna do team with y'all, but I will be honest with you, I can't take time off during that time, so I'll be remotely working while I'm at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
That's an expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we're making this team, and I fully expect us to make it to semifinals. So if you're not on board, please tell me now. That's another expectation,
Yep.
right? So you can't go in, let's have fun, but then you get pissed at the first sign of lack of commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't go in, let's go to semifinals, and then not call people out when they're not there.
Yep.
So, in my opinion, as long as you guys are similar fitness level or within the same realm, it's absolutely communication. And then the next thing would be coaching. So, are we actually ready for being a team? Are we training at any time together? Are we getting any guidance from any professional or qualified coach to help us do that? Are we just trying to get fit and then calling ourselves a team? Those
Right.
are all questions that you need to ask yourself before committing to being on a team.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd say I'll just balance that out a little bit with maybe some of the actual like application to the sports side of things. The biggest difference for somebody who is used to being an individual athlete and then going to a team, you need to get ready to do intervals faster than you have ever wanted to do intervals before, basically. A lot of the team competition, the majority of the team competition, especially until you get to the games or semifinals, depending on the events, is you and a partner go do something as fast as you can and then come back, and then the other pair goes and does something, and then perhaps you come together on the worm at the end or something like that. So you're probably not going to be able to break things up like you might be used to, or you might need to pick up your rep speed a little bit, or you might need to slow down your rep speed a little bit, depending on who you're partnering with, if they're much taller than you or something like that. So be ready and adaptable to how you normally do things, because it's no longer about you. It's about what is best for that pair and that team to get the best, outcome.
Mhm.
So
That's on the more technical side.
yeah, I figured we'd balance it out a little bit,
Yeah.
All right. Top 3 favorite warm-up exercises.
World's greatest stretch.
Very good.
Um,
Is that an exercise? I'm just kidding.
also, I didn't name it just because people think that this is a joke that I make. It's called the world's greatest stretch. Google
Yeah,
it.
I don't know who named that.
I think the Squat University guy, unless he also got it somewhere else.
I probably got it. I don't know.
Um, honestly, banded lateral distraction, hip distractions,
Mm.
those feel really good, and downward dog to anything. Downward dog push-up, downward dog groiners, downward dog pigeon.
Those are good.
What about you?
I'm gonna say jogging.
I feel like I need to warm up before I jog.
Really?
Yeah, I guess it's age.
Well, everything. You are a year older than me. Shut up.
1,000 year wiser.
I think because you said everything you said was kind of like mobility body prep.
Yeah.
So
Again, age.
okay, so let me do this. If I'm my top 3 like mobility / body prep things, I'm gonna say PVC pass-throughs, groiners or world's greatest stretch, and then probably I guess I don't really do more than 2 warm-up.
Are you out of movements? That's what I wanted to ask.
No, I'm just trying to think like what is like my other favorite one to do. Pass-throughs, groiners, probably the couch stretch, honestly.
I was gonna say that, or like ankle distractions
Or
without a band.
a quadricep, some sort of something for my quads and hip flexors, just because my hip flexors are chronically tight. I've done too many toes to bar. Anyways, exercises to warm up, I would say jogging, plyometrics, and probably burpees. I don't like to warm up. So I do the easiest things for me to start to perform that I know will warm me up the most. So jogging, skiing, stuff like that.
I'm gonna say snatch pulls, empty bar.
No.
Push presses.
I get on board with that.
If I'm talking cardio wise, either So, okay, I like the bike. It never warms me up. I need to warm up after the bike.
Exactly. That's why I don't use the bike, and that's why I didn't say the bike, because I'll go sit on the bike
It's just a
at
mental prep
at,
for me at this
at
point.
fucking 40 RPMs, and I'm not doing anything.
Yeah,
Whereas
I'll be there for 30 minutes.
if I go jog, like
See,
it doesn't matter how fast I go, I'm gonna start to warm up.
for me, it's double unders though.
Anyways,
End of conversation.
yeah, whatever. That's weird. Was that my first question? Yeah, it was my first one.
I don't think so. But that's fine.
Is it Europe then?
You can go for it. I have one question left.
Oh, okay. Um, let's do this one. What is the best way to move past mental blocks and embrace my strengths?
What?
So I think it's
Are those two
more.
questions?
I think it's more maybe doubting themselves
Okay,
or
so
something like that.
I, in my head, how to move past mental blocks? Question mark. How to embrace my strengths? Question
That's
mark.
fine. Break it up.
Okay.
That's fine.
Mental blocks, because that's something I've recently been having to deal with. Um, I don't know when it happened, but at some point between 2019 or 2018 and 2022, I went into a self-limiting mode. I even talked about that with some of my athletes, but where I have a limit. I have a limit of pushing.
Yep.
I am afraid to hurt. I'm afraid to get to a point where I am out of control in pain. So at some point, I have a ceiling that I will not push against. I will not push through. And that has affected my fitness dramatically.
Mhm.
And I would get to points. I remember at some point, 2021, 2022, I would stop working out. I would stop the workout. I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm getting out of control. My heart rate's, I'm done.
Mhm.
And I did not know how to defeat that. I was like, this is not something I've been taught or trained on how to get past. And then it was a conversation that I had with some of my gym members. I started working out with them. Nothing like we're not competing against each other or anything. And they were like, "What makes you slow down when you get to that point? What are you afraid of? You know you're not gonna like fail a calorie on the rower. Like, why are you stopping?" And I literally use that question every time I start feeling like that. So every time I get to the point where like I'm on the rower or I'm on the bike and I like, okay, time to slow down to pace myself. And I'm like, but I don't know what would happen if I don't.
Mhm.
I never tried to push past that limit, or at least in the recent past, and figured out what would happen. I'm not gonna like get off the bike. I'm not gonna fail a calorie, as they said. I just, if I need to alter something after that, I'll alter it. If I don't, then I don't. Great, I figured the limit and pushed it. So that's what I've been doing, and it's very, very little wins.
Mhm.
Very little wins. You just take one day. It's like, okay, I did the thrusters unbroken. Period. That's it. That's what I was looking for in this workout. I don't give a shit what my score is. I just did the thrusters unbroken. That was my mental barrier in this workout, and I was able to hold it. Right? Or, um, funny, you coached me through that workout. I was doing that EMOM, and I started talking shit to other people. I was like, hey, you're going down, you're going down. But really, what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to push myself through minutes at a pace that I'm not comfortable with
Mhm.
and keep it,
Mhm.
right? So I started just doing that. And like I remember you came by my bike and you immediately just increased the damper.
Yeah.
And you were like, bike faster. And I was like, you know what?
You had the
Okay.
damper on like 3. It's like, what are you doing?
Regardless of the situation. Bigger
Do
picture.
it.
But that's what I've been doing. And again, it's just slowly helping with that. It's slowly, I feel more confident. I feel like I'm more capable. And I've never been again, for the recent past, I haven't been as excited to get better at fitness as I have been in the past few months.
It is very hard to figure out how to push yourself through pain.
Yeah.
And there is a lot to unpack there mentally with people.
It also depends on the level of fear and the type of personality you are.
Well, it's the fear. So something that I always have come back to is like, why are you doing this?
Hmm.
And I think when you look at a lot of the high level athletes, their whys are pretty easy to figure out. It's their job, or they're doing it for a faith based reason, or
Or
a
if I don't
message.
make that work, I will not get paid this year.
Yeah, 100%, right? And obviously, it's different for those of us who are not professionals and things like that, or who are not necessarily at that level yet. But I think boiling it down to why do you want to push harder, right? And then reminding yourself of that in that moment is very helpful. When I was training competitively, I remember many times I would be doing like echo bike work or assault bike work, and I would just say semifinals, over and over. And I'd say it out loud because that was why I was it was like, this is why you're making this hurt more, because you need more, right? Finding the mental side of why you're asking yourself to go to those, and it doesn't have to be competitive. It can be because I want to push myself, kind of like what you were talking about. What happens? And it's funny because this is very similar to what we coach athletes on all the time, especially in the last 3 months of the season. Like, what happens when you go unbroken on chest to bar? What happens when you hold this pace on the bike? What happens when you hold this pace on the rower? Why would you slow down, right? It's all kind of tied together, which is partially what I think makes it hard to pull apart. But I think small wins steadily over time, low expectations, high discipline, right? In terms of, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do my damnedest to do it, is a good place to start.
Right.
Okay, so the second,
I'll say one more thing. This is gonna open a whole other door, but we're not gonna push that open. But a lot of CrossFitters, let's just put that label, are running from something emotionally, mentally, psychologically. And sometimes that could get tied in to their why. And they're working out coming from a negative place.
Yep.
If you're trying to become more competitive, try and figure out how to switch that, how to change that so that your working out comes from a positive place.
I would agree.
And that would dramatically change your approach to working out. You don't understand. If you're one of those people who you're angry or you're hurt or you're running from life problems and working out is your escape, it's absolutely fine. But if you're trying to increase performance to where it's competitive, you're limited by that. Once you switch that to, I want to do this because of something positive, oh my God, it's like finding the fifth gear.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to end on. Embracing your strength. You start.
Yeah, I think this kind of bleeds out of the actual CrossFit side of things, and well, a little bit. I think a lot of people I think a lot of people who take fitness seriously tie their self-worth to their fitness.
True.
And like, I think that's probably the root of some kind of a question like that at the lower levels. And I would say, like, you have to cut that off. Like, you are not defined by how fast you can do a fucking thruster. That's rhetorical.
If you bomb a workout, it does not affect your life.
Yeah. Like, it's not like,
I will also follow that up with, nobody at the gym is
Care.
looking at you. Not even cares, is looking at you.
No, they're hyperventilating in the corner.
Yeah, they're not seeing you.
They're worried about their own life.
So I've seen that very vividly. I coach so many athletes at the gym, and a lot of people struggle with that. Like, but people are stop right there.
They're not.
They're not. Nobody cares if you do. Even as a coach, when I look at the class, when I have 15, 20 people working out, I don't see, oh, this person is doing 55 pounds instead of 95. That must be just a bad day for them.
Yeah.
No, I see movement.
Right.
I see you moving. I see speed of movements. I see technique. And if something's up, I'll come and talk to you. But do I care what weight's on that barbell? No. Nobody thinks you're less of an athlete as a person or as any like anything is related worth-wise to your fitness.
Yeah.
Or even worse, to a workout.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I mean, I think we're on the same page with that, and you said that really well. I think it's just something that really happens in the fitness space, and CrossFit is not the only fitness methodology that this occurs in. Bodybuilding,
Team sports.
endurance, team sports, yeah. So I just think really understanding, like, at the end of the day, like, there's no part of you as a human being or your self-worth or who you are that's, like I said, tied to how fast you can do thrusters. And I say that tongue in cheek, but I make this joke a lot with Mahmoud. Like, if you boil most sports down, they're pretty dumb. Like, have you ever thought about golf?
Don't get me started. I'm not gonna.
But even the sports that we know and love, like all these sports, right? Football.
You're either chasing a ball, you're kicking a ball, you're throwing
We're
a
gonna
ball.
take this thing and we're gonna run into each other and try to kill each other to get it on the other side. Or soccer, we can't use our hands,
but we can't throw it in.
but the one guy can use his hand. Yeah, it's like it's also arbitrary, and it doesn't make them any less amazing and things like that people are good at them and good for us for our health and wellness.
Heck, CrossFit, you're either jumping over something, you're lifting something over your head for no reason, or you're just hurting.
I mean, I make fun of CrossFit a lot, again, tongue in cheek, but like, we're the sport of the things that people do to prepare for other sports.
So we're the mother of problems.
Like, what? Like,
Yep.
So it doesn't take anything away from the accomplishments of the athletes or the validity of it, but it's not something that has anything to do with anybody's self-worth. And it's, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to understand, especially when you want to improve at it, whether at a competitive level or just as a, normal GPP gym goer. But it's not who you are. Like, nobody on their headstone is going to get their Fran time, man.
Nope. And I would say if that's something that you're working on to embrace your strength or to work on self-doubt or self-limitation, sometimes reflection is a great job to do that. Just after each session, set a space or a headspace or something in a notebook or something like that, where you're like, okay, today I struggled with this and I did that and I'm proud of myself. Or today I didn't do a really good job of maintaining a good headspace and I ended up doing this. Acknowledging that you thought about it makes it a work in progress.
Yeah.
That's all.
All right. You're up.
My turn. Last question on my side, and then it's all you.
I think I have two more after this. Maybe three.
The question says weight loss / nutrition and exercise for athletes 60 and over. That's a big topic. But I will also say that based on where I and Tristan coach in person, we have a relatively large population of 50 plus athletes. So that's something that we come across a lot. I'm gonna start with I'm also just very clearly I'm going to be talking in a general statements here. It's not personalized to anybody. There's variety or variance between people. So generally speaking, I will say that for 60 years old plus, you should be able to move around without the fear of being in a gym. go to the gym
Yeah.
and move. That being said, if you have not been moving, if this is your first time to go move, please find somebody who can help you with that. Don't just start moving, or worse, follow YouTube.
Yeah, don't follow YouTube.
Please don't. So
Find a
that,
coach.
find a coach or join a class or something that you have heard good reviews about, specifically in that age group or dealing with people who are a little bit older. Two, I want you to be very aware that you will not be doing the same stuff that a young buck who's 19 years old trying to make it to the games is doing. That being said, I'm not telling you don't try to learn new movements, but let's start by making sure we're moving really well first. Your main challenge will be mobility and functionality in a full range of motion. Can I even get the movement correctly? Once we're able to do that, then I would encourage all people, regardless of your age, to do resistance exercise on top of whatever you're doing.
Yep.
Sarcopenia is your worst enemy.
Yeah, one of the first things that jumped to my head is preserve your lower body strength, power, and coordination, and improve it. So improve it and preserve it as long as you can.
And
Sarcop-
if you have none, start now.
if you have none, start right now. And I don't care if you're 60 or not. If you are a young adult, an adult, or starting to move into your, 50 plus years and things like that, and you are not stronger, this is a great quote. I got it from a podcast with Dr. Jordan Shallow, aka the Muscle Doc on Instagram. Every coach should go follow him. I think it was somebody on his staff who said this, and I do not remember the name of them, so I can't give them credit, but shout out to the Muscle Doc. If you are not stronger than the forces of gravity acting upon your body, you are in big fucking trouble as you get older.
Yes. So
That is the most, and that is your legs.
let's define what sarcopenia is. It is the loss of muscle,
Yeah, it's just muscle wasting as you age.
right? And that happens. Period. It's
Yes.
not if or when, it happens.
Yes.
So I need you to know that there are two things that you care about as you grow older: cardiovascular health and independence,
Which
and
is derived from
resistance, functionality,
muscle
right?
mass, and functionality.
Muscle mass and range of motion,
Yep.
right? The better you are at strength building or strength maintenance and range of motion, as in I am able to move in that range of motion, and my range of motion is big enough for me to move without hurting or requiring assistance. And at the same time, I am stable enough in those range of motions, which comes from also resistance training. Then I am fine and I'm capable of living my life on my own for a longer period of time.
Mhm.
You do not want to be a risk of fall person.
No.
Falling at an older age is a big deal because most people don't have the muscle.
Yep.
And
They don't
that's
have the
why
strength.
and when you start doing that, that's when osteoporosis happen, when you don't have that resistance training, when you don't have that stimulus, when you don't have that external pressure going against your body, which is applied by resistance training, your bones lose density,
Mhm.
your muscles waste. So
And
when
then
you
if you fall, it's even
ex-
worse.
when you fall, there's no preparation for your, let's call it, internal organs,
Yeah.
which are bones and muscles, to accommodate pressure like that.
Yep.
So again, my main priority for you guys, and that's including my parents. My parents don't exercise. They walk, which I'm happy for, but I would love for them to go into a gym and start doing resistance exercise.
Mhm.
There is the only thing to fear resistance exercise is if you don't do it.
Mhm.
Everybody's afraid of weights, and as you grow older, I understand the intimidation. Find somebody qualified to help you through it.
Mhm.
It is worth your money. It is worth investing into if you want to stay healthy and you want to stay independent.
Yep.
As for nutrition, you want to eat enough because that's the first thing that goes out of the window is enough. You want to prioritize your protein for the same reasons of muscle maintenance and building.
Yep.
You want to keep your diet simple. It's not anything like you don't need to jump through hoops or like
No.
just make sure that you're eating enough, you're eating enough protein, you're eating enough micronutrients, which is important at that age. So greens, fruits, vegetables, all those. And carbs are not the devil. You do need carbs just like anybody else, especially if you are physically active.
Also, for God's sake, don't listen to the people on YouTube who are telling you that fucking vegetables and fruits are poisonous.
No.
There's
Like at this
zero
point,
research to support that.
at this point, water is poisonous.
Dude. Ugh.
But yeah, that again, generally speaking, those would be my advice.
Yeah, I don't think I really have much to add to that. Motion is the lotion. Like move, train your legs, train your upper body, try to preserve your muscle mass as absolutely long as possible, and do so in smart ways, and through ranges of motion or exercise variation and selection that's gonna like make sense for you.
Yeah, like
Um,
I'll be honest with you. If you're new and you have to fitness and you haven't done fitness before, and your range of motion isn't the best, and you're trying to get fit, maybe doing snatches is not essential,
yeah, dude,
right? Like
yeah,
there's no reason for you to stick to everything that's written on your class board.
no. And if your
And
coach,
exactly, and if your
oh,
coach is smart enough, they
oh,
will tell you not to,
but if they're not, hit them in the face.
or find somebody else.
Not violence. No. Sorry, that's something that gets me going pretty quick. But yeah, and I think even a note to maybe the people who are in their 40s and 50s who have been doing CrossFit a long time, but they've lost some range of motion. Maybe they've had some injuries and stuff like that. Like, you don't have, like, I'll use myself as an example. When I'm 50, I'm probably not going to squat snatch anymore.
He already doesn't do devil presses, guys.
I don't like devil's presses. Everybody can leave me alone. I don't like them. And they're really hard on my back. And I have back injuries.
But
And yes,
that's a great example though. Just
yeah,
because you don't do a specific movement because it is not good for you or it doesn't feel good on your body doesn't make you any less of an athlete.
I don't
Again,
care.
especially that you're not trying to be a competitive athlete. And
Yeah,
that's most people in their 60s or 50s. At this
yeah,
point, you don't have to not do CrossFit because you don't want to snatch.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like there are other ways to train the physical qualities that you get from the movement of a full depth snatch.
Absolutely.
And again, my example, I have some low back issues. I have injured my back several times, particularly on the squat snatch. And I'm just pretty okay. Like, I still do it now. I like to do it. I don't do it as heavy as frequently as I used to. I like to do it with lighter weights in conditioning settings because I'm very comfortable doing that. I've been doing it a long time, but I'm really okay with the fact that as I continue to age, like, I'll probably try to continue to power snatch for the force production, bone density, overhead mobility portion. I also might continue to overhead squat in a lighter load controlled manner, something like that. But there's going to be a time when I do a heavy snatch for the last time.
Mhm.
And it's okay. I got to plug my computer in. Like, and it's okay. And everybody's going to have that at some point. And that, like, understanding and having a good coach as you age or are older who can give you proper exercise selection is really important.
Yep.
So, all right. Opinion piece. Top 3 limiting factors for CrossFit athletes. That's it. That's an open book, baby. Let's keep
Whoa.
it with like the nuts and bolts, the physiology or the training. Because we already talked a lot about the mental side, which obviously for competitors is a huge thing. But
Nutrition.
okay.
For again, I'm talking about like quarterfinal, semifinal. Nutrition.
Yeah, it just says CrossFit athletes. So, I mean, he means competitive. So
I'm guessing limiting is competitive, yeah.
yeah.
So I'm gonna start with nutrition. I'm gonna follow it with recovery. And I'm gonna finish with the importance of drills and progressions and proper skill learning.
Yeah, I think if we kind of exclude the like, well, you either aren't strong enough or you aren't aerobically fit enough or you can't do whatever, like that's not fucking hard to figure out. And we already kind of talked about that. I think nutrition, like a lot of competitors wildly do not eat enough. Especially competitors who are training multiple times a day, doing really hard metcons, that kind of thing.
Let me, on that note, go get my plug as well.
Okay, yeah, dude, I almost died.
Yep.
All right, solo a little here. Yeah, so nutrition I think is probably one of the biggest things that limits athletes. Your just ability to fuel and recover. Sleep, I think, is another thing that limits athletes a ton. You have to be able to sleep to recover in a meaningful way. And a lot of people who are trying to be competitive athletes do not get nearly the amount of sleep they need. You really should be getting 7 hours or more per night. Yes, 8 hours is kind of the golden standard for sleep, but and obviously more is better, but if you're sleeping 7 hours or more, you're probably going to be fine. As you get older, you might want to sleep more if you're an older athlete. And then, are you breathing into the microphone? Because I'm going to stab you if you are. Okay.
I didn't do anything different.
I don't know, but I just heard like.
Sorry.
So sleep, nutrition, and kind of like with what Mahmoud said about mobility, I think proper technique and efficiency. If you are efficient in your movement, you're not only working less per movement, which is really big in a competitive setting, but you're also significantly less likely to get injured.
So to add to that, like, how many times have you seen an athlete that is doing a movement in a way that they could do a lot better, and they refuse to like, okay, let's actually learn how to do it better.
Oh,
I'm gonna talk about my Thursday classes in specific. We
I know where
set
this is going.
we set it for skills, so we have a skill piece that has very broken down progressions. And when I see an athlete that doesn't even like have the movement properly, or they're doing it incorrectly, or their technique's not good,
Mhm.
and they're choosing to actively ignore this piece and practice the same way that they're doing for 10 minutes until we're done,
Mhm.
that raises a lot of red flags. Like, what is it about you that is too good to practice a drill?
Oh, it's just ego, and they just don't want to take the step back.
And in my head, like, that's how you can get better and figure out what you're doing wrong here. Some
Yeah.
athletes don't know any better. Some athlete thinks that it's a step back, which at this point I don't think that those athletes are necessarily competitive, but it's usually again, as you said, an ego thing among like, hey, I've been to quarterfinal once or something, and I'm like, okay, I gotta do muscle ups instead of breaking the muscle up down into pieces and bits.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant. Well, like, if I have to relearn something, I should not have an ego barrier to that.
Yeah.
When that goes to weightlifting, running mechanics, good God, I have seen some weird running.
Yeah, running's a skill, just so
It is.
everybody knows.
There's a baseline of skill there before we can increase capacity.
Running's a skill. Yeah.
double unders, all of that. So
Yeah, I think people, setting proper movement patterns, always evaluating those things, and returning to the basics is a big deal. Like, when was the last time you just tried to air squat really good?
yeah,
And it's really kind of a misconception, slightly off topic, but if somebody was like, I want to be competitive, and you're like, okay, I want you to move in your Metcon at your technical max speed.
mhm,
I only want you to go as fast as you can go, doing this 95% perfectly,
mhm.
which they talk about in the L1, but it's not to that same degree, really.
Right.
You're still going to get fitter,
Mhm.
and you're going to set that movement pattern in that way, so that then when you're not thinking about moving perfectly, you
Well,
probably still move almost perfectly.
and that prevents injuries, prolongs your progress,
Exactly.
increases your efficiency, makes you move faster at the end of the day. So yeah,
Yeah. All right. I have two more. How to fix tendonitis or tendinopathy.
great question.
We're going to caveat this with neither Mahmood or myself are physical therapists or chiropractors.
Nope. And if we are
If
not
I'm
on a professional level advice, I accept that.
all the physical therapists and chiropractors out there, please be gentle if I say something wrong.
I am only giving advice that I've learned from other physical therapists in education. I am not
I'm
making up my
marrying a physical
own.
therapist, so there's that.
Yeah. Um, I will say it very generally speaking. I would say my number one go-to, probably my only go-to, is one, trying to remove the irritation of the muscles around that joint by mobilizing it. So including um, some gentle foam rolling, some compression on those muscles around it. So let's say elbow, I'll go for the triceps, biceps, forearm muscles. And then I will work on strengthening those muscles, doing isolated exercises to relieve the inflammation off of the joint. And that is as general and sorry, this is as specific as I will go.
Yeah, I think I, along the same token, want to try to get that area relaxed. Um, Not overdoing it though. I think you can really overdo like soft tissue work and
Oh,
things like that,
absolutely. Yeah.
and that is a stressor. Um, and then strengthening the musculature upstream and downstream.
I will also say,
Um,
emphasize on that, the musculature upstream and downstream of the causing area.
right. Yeah.
Because it's not always from the elbow.
Right, if it's your elbow, like the issue, the elbow is getting irritated because of the forearm or the tricep, but the reason that that musculature is being overworked or something could be the lat
Or the
or
shoulder or
the
rotator cuff.
shoulder, the rotator cuff muscle. Exactly. Same thing with the quadriceps or the knees, right? Like your quadriceps, your hamstrings, like your low back. It could be your adductors, your QL, your piriformis, like
Glutes. Yeah.
glutes. Like there's a lot of stuff that can go into that, especially something like a low back when there's a lot of musculature that comes in and out and plays into that area.
So I just to like reiterate it, like focus number one should be finding the area of problem and then going about the two steps that I talked about.
Yeah. And then I think the only thing I would add to that is I'm a big fan of really like regressing the loadability of what we're doing.
And
So,
avoiding pain. Period.
yeah, like you don't want to continue to irritate. So like a little discomfort might be okay, but like it should get better over time and those things. But really pulling back like what you're doing and strengthening those muscles or the surrounding muscles or moving that joint through range of motion in a way where the loadability is significantly less so that you're not going to continue to irritate that area with the excessive force that caused the issue in the first place.
And I'm going to add to that, this might seem like, oh, but I'm not training and I need to train. This is training.
It's
This is part of your training as an athlete. It's a comprehensive concept that a lot of people don't understand.
yeah. I
It
mean,
is training to continue to train.
You can't drive a race car with a broken transmission.
Absolutely.
So like it just is what it is. It's not the fun stuff, but it's the necessary stuff,
Yes.
right? And it takes time, and it will probably be a long process that you have to continue to stay on top of, and you might not figure it out right away. But all right, I think we might not get attacked for those
Phew.
answers. Whew. We debated even answering that.
Brace yourself still.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, fucking A, man. Anyway. Okay, last question. We don't actually have to answer this. I just think it's hilarious that somebody asked this, so I'm going to read it to you. Who is the most annoying Ascend athlete?
Um,
Eh,
I have one answer in mind, and it's not my athlete. I don't know if you have the same answer.
have they been to semifinals?
No,
Ooh, we don't have the same answer.
they've been to WOD Gods. I can't refer to anything without feeling.
Yeah, that doesn't actually help me that much. No, that was a funny question. None of our athletes are the most annoying or the least
No,
annoying.
I say that with all the love in the world. I
Yeah,
just like to give them shit.
We love all of you, and we also understand as coaches that all athletes are needy at some point.
We're like your parents as well.
Yeah. All right. Let me make sure I didn't miss any questions. Oh, there was one more. How to get over? Damn. Did I miss anything else? Athletes going in the open. Da, 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 da. No. Okay. How to get over the post-competition blues?
That's actually a really good question. I mean, you want my answer? I
always
wasn't
want
prepared
your
for that question,
honest
but
answer.
my answer is set another goal for yourself.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
think
I
you
would
should.
do.
I think you should give yourself ample time to reflect.
Oh, absolutely. I'm
and
just
then
saying, like,
and then try to set another goal.
if you feel like you're lost or anything like that, or like, what do I do now? I don't know.
Yeah.
Look at the future, reasonable time frame, set another goal.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think after giving yourself a good reflection period, like what went well, what went bad, like what did I learn, all that stuff, and then like where do I go from here?
That's part of the
Don't
process.
don't sit in that place of indecision.
True.
All right.
That was
I think
probably one
that's
of our
it.
longest episodes.
That is definitely one of our longest episodes. I had a feeling this would be a longer episode, and we really didn't have that many questions. Like we had
Yeah.
some good questions, but we didn't have that many questions.
Episode 20, baby.
Episode 20, done and dusted. Q&A episode. Housekeeping. It's pretty smooth sailing right now.
Have you seen the reel or like housekeeping?
No, but I feel like I should.
It's a guy that rereads misspelled signs, and it's read. It's written down house and then KIPIN.
Housekeeping.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
smooth
I don't
sailing
see
through the
anything else.
holidays.
We are week 5, or we're starting week 5 next week.
Week 5 next week of Alps. Squats are real right now.
Oh yeah.
Cycle wrap up at the end of the year, or yeah, around the end of the year. We'll give everybody a little deload, and then quarters prep / semis
If
prep.
you've put in your order for Christmas, it should be, sorry, for our winter apparel, it should be around Christmas time when it gets delivered, either right before or right after.
Yep.
Hopefully right before. At this point, it's beyond our control.
Yep. We paid. Everything's paid. So, yeah, smooth sailing through the holidays, and then January hits the ground running, and then right into the open and quarters and all the funness. So,
Yes, sir.
All right. I will talk to you later, sir.
Yes, sir. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.